Favor means to bow in the direction of an individual to grant them goodwill. I don't know about you, but I feel this in the Holy Ghost. Look at somebody and tell them, hey neighbor, I got a sneaky suspicion. I've got an unction in the Holy Ghost that God's getting ready to bow in your direction. He's getting ready to give you access to uncommon favor. Favor's about to hit your house.
Morning, gently rest upon my heart, like the dew in the
blessed in the city, we're blessed in the field. But God's going to turn it around. It's going to work in your favor. If you think it's going to work in your favor, give God a hallelujah praise. Just come on, give God a praise. How many glad to be in the house of the Lord one more time to worship, to praise, and to magnify God for all the things that God has done for us. God has been good to us. God has been kind. I want to thank God for our singers this morning. Amen. Thank God for our pastor music and the selection of music. And thank God for each of you that is here to worship and to praise the Lord on this wonderful day that the Lord has made. Amen. At this time, we're going to welcome those who join us in the YouTube service. When I was looking at it, we got 58 subscribers. 58 subscribers. Amen. Amen. 58. And some of them I know, some of them I don't know. So to those of you who I do not know who are subscribed, we pray that the service is a blessing unto you. We ask that you would just reach out to us and let us know how the service is a blessing to you. But let's give them a hallelujah praise. Give God a hallelujah praise. Give God a hallelujah praise. Give God a hallelujah praise. God is to be praised for every praise. Do our God every word of worship. When we all on one accord, singing praises unto our God. Because God has just been a good God. God has just been a merciful God. God has blessed us. I want to say it's good to see Rosie back. Amen. Out of town, her nephew and the family. Just want to praise God for that. Amen. Let's put our hands together. Let's just give God a hand praise. We're going to every praise. Let's give every praise. Worthy of the praise. Hallelujah. From Proverbs 3:5-6. Thank you, Pastor Music. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Thank you. Hallelujah. I just felt that in my spirit. Every praise is due our God. Hallelujah. Every praise is due our God. Hallelujah. Every praise is due our God. When you think about the things that God has brought you through, not even just the things that God brought you through, just God being good. Am I right? He's just a good God. Hallelujah. He's just a good God. And when you think about the goodness of God, and all that he's done. David said, when I think of the goodness of the Lord, my soul cries out, hallelujah. He give God praise for Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. As we go into, continue about favor. On last week, we talked about favor. Again, we want to thank God for those who came out last week. As I said, at 10:30, Diane walked into church.
Hallelujah.
We looked up, I'm like, who is that? He said, that's Diane. Diane just wanted to come and worship the Lord. I said, where your mom at? She said, I left them all at home. And she said, on the coldest day, the snowiest day, she came in. And she got to understand, when people want to worship and give God praise, that they want to come into the house of the Lord and lift up their hands and to tell the Lord thank you. And oftentimes I've been telling people as I talk to them, as we ready to go into this, that people have forgotten that we come to church to worship. We come to church to worship a true and a living God. It's not about all the things that you think church should be about. Everybody thinks church should be this, that. But people come to worship. And what do we worship Him for? For who He is and for what He has done, the doors He has made, and in the way. You saw it's cold this morning. I mean, the sun is shining. I mean, it's shining. When I got in the car, I didn't realize it was 11 degrees. I mean, I knew my house was a little cold, but guess what? Only a God can allow the sun to shine and it still be cold, but yet it's a beautiful day, am I right? Only a God can let the snow fall, the ice fall, and it's still a beautiful day. When you learn to give God thanks for all things, He's worthy of the praise. Favor. This week we come from Proverbs 3, 5, 6. For last Sunday sermon, you can go back on YouTube and take a look at it when we did verses 3 through 4. But it says, trust in the Lord with all of thine heart. Lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him. And He, the Lord, shall direct thy path.
Yes, Lord.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways and all your ways acknowledge Him. And He, the Lord, shall direct thy path. One more time. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not to thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy path. Proverbs 3:4, where this comes from, it says, so thou shalt find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. Even before I go into prayer, if you know that you got the favor of God on your life, and you know that God is giving you something that is more than you could ever imagine, I want you to give God a praise. Just give God a praise. Even if you're going through, I want you to give God a praise. Hallelujah. Father, we come to your Son, Jesus' name, and say thank you. Thank you for your blessings. Thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for all that you do. For God, you have been a loving God. You have been a merciful God. You have been a kind God. And God, as we look at the things that you are doing, we look at the ways that you are making, as we just see your glory, your power. God, all we can do is say that you're worthy of the praise. So God, as we come into your house and we worship you in song, and Lord God, we yielded ourselves unto you. Now, Lord God, we decrease, that you increase, that you take your rightful place as the head of our heart, our mind, our soul, and our spirit. That, Lord God, you would take your rightful place as the head of the church, as the head of this world. And God, we will forever give you praise and glory for what you do right now. In your Son, Jesus' name. And the people of God says, amen. Give God another praise. Hallelujah. As we've been talking about favor, a few Sundays ago we talked about keeping God's commandment in His law. The days will be longer. Last week we talked about His mercy, remembering the mercies of God, the things that God had done for you in your life, and said to bind them around your neck. And then if God is merciful to you, you ought to be merciful to others. Today, it's a familiar passage of scripture that we often hear, and it talks about trusting the Lord with all thy heart. We've been talking about all the things that we should do to get favor from God. Everybody get grace. Everybody get blessings. God blesses everyone. The other day when I was driving in the ice, going home, there was a young man standing outside in the ice with a sheet around his head, standing in the ice in the cold weather. And someone would say, wow, but I know that no matter how long he's standing there, somebody gonna stop, give him something, and God's gonna give him favor. When you think of the things that God has done and the things that God is doing, we can't look at what other people are going through and say that God is unfaithful. For God works things out according to his will and according to his way. That no matter what you have or don't have, you should always acknowledge God and give God thanks. Sometimes we as the people of God are sometimes ungrateful for the things that God has given. We don't mean to be ungrateful, but sometimes we don't give God thanks enough for what he has already done. And I want us to give God a praise for the things that he has already done. To trust God, we have to grow to trust God. So again, favor is an act of kindness beyond what is due or usual. Usual thing is everybody, if you wake up in the morning, that's usual. You just wake up. If you eat, that's something that everybody does. Favor is that God surpasses the usual stuff. He surpasses stuff that you just don't understand. Am I right? Have God ever shown anybody that kind of favor? Things that you just don't understand. That God works in mysterious ways for his people. So that's the act of kindness. That means favor is kindness. It means that God is merciful and God is loving. To trust means a firm belief in the reliability, the truth, the ability or strength of someone or something. That when we put our trust in God, as he shares, and what he's saying is when you want to find favor with God, you got to trust God. All this stuff needs obeying his word, keeping his word, because if you keep the commandments and the laws of God, that means that you trust God in what he says, and if you do it, then your life becomes much better than what it is. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, that every day of your life you have to trust God when things are good or when things are bad. So it's a firm belief in the reliability that you can rely on God, you can believe God, and God will only tell you the truth. Am I right? Now, the truth of God is, God may tell you some stuff you may not like. That's the truth. Have anybody ever told you some truth and you didn't like the truth that they told you? So when we say that we trust in God, it doesn't mean that everything is going to be good or we're going to hear everything that we want to hear from God. Because if we trust in God, we can't tell God how to do it or what to do. We got to trust God to believe that whatever God tells us, it is truth. And the thing of it is, Joanne, that when we trust him and take him at his word, he is always to make things right in our life. How many have learned to trust God? And God makes everything right in your life now. And then he says, trust with the Lord with all thine heart. And just going on some words. Again, the heart is the inner self that thinks. It's the inner man, the feels and decides. So you have to get out of yourself when you trust in God. That inner man, you got to allow the Holy Spirit to come in and to work in you. Because all of us has an inner man, and in our inner man, we want to think the way we want to think. We want to do the things that the way we want to do it. Now, God does give us a free will to do things. We all understand that, right? There are some things God just allowed to do. But when you're seeking favor from God, that means you get out of yourself, out of your will, and allow the will of God to be done. So it's like this. You're looking for a job. You're looking for something, whatever you're looking for, your own self, you go your own way. This is what I'm going to do. But when you trust in God, you begin to talk to God about it, get out of yourself and listen to God. Now, when God speaks, God may not speak to you quick enough. I got to be honest with you. When you trust in God and waiting on God, sometimes God doesn't move as fast as you want him to. But if you wait on God long enough, God will speak and God will show up. That's the thing about God, because self self speaks right away. That's what self does. Self tells you right away what to do. But God, he patiently comes to you right at the right time. That's why when you trust in God, you got to trust God with patience and know that God is going to do things according to his will.
Amen.
The word acknowledge. Acknowledge means to accept or admit the existence of truth. That means when I acknowledge God, I'm going to accept what God says. I'm going to accept what God does. A lot of times we get caught up with thinking how things should go. But the way you think should go is not the way it should go. Can I help you? Because you think it should be this way, but God is working in another way. Can I help you today? Can I help you today? Have anybody ever wanted something to go a certain way and it didn't go that way?
Yeah.
But then when you waited long enough, God changed and God showed you that he had a better way for you, and you can give God for the way that he has made. And that's what we deal with in life, that we don't always understand how God is working, but we got to trust God that he's doing it. So when I acknowledge God and all my ways, then I got to trust him to do everything that he said he's going to do. Okay? So let's do some work. So how do we do this? First of all, we do it by faith. Trust the Lord with all thy heart and lean not to thy own understanding. First of all, we got to do it by faith. Tell your neighbor, you got to do it by faith. Now remember, we read it all the time. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things that not seen. Faith is a strong belief in God. Just like trust, it's a strong belief in that you got so much faith that you know that God is going to do it. So when I trust in the Lord with all my heart, that means I'm putting all my faith in God. I'm not putting my faith in nothing else but God. Now, I understand that God works through people. God blesses us through people. You go for a job, you got faith in God, and God puts someone in the place to make sure you get hired. That's how it works. You ain't supposed to give that person praise. You were supposed to give who praise? God praise. Why? Because you had faith to believe that God was going to do it, and then God did it. Now, it doesn't matter how God blesses you. Now, you understand, people look for blessings to come by certain people. But when I have faith in God, God can use whoever he wants to bless me. All I got to understand that my faith and my trust is in God. If you got strong faith in God, give God a praise today. I mean, strong faith. Strong faith is that you believe God for any and everything. So we must respond in entire confidence in the wisdom, power, and goodness of God. The wisdom, the power, and goodness of God. When I put my faith in God, I'm putting in the wisdom of God, the power of God, and the goodness of God. Now, the wisdom of God is that God knows more than I know.
Right.
God knows more than I know. God is so wise. And what God allows me to do is to get a little bit of his wisdom. How many of you really think you're smart? How many of you really think it's okay? If you think you're smart, give God a praise. That means that God made you as smart as you are, but you really know that you could be much smarter with the wisdom of God. So I'm not going to say something funny, but when you lean on God, God gives you the wisdom, because when you have faith in him, he will give you the wisdom in how to go about and how to do the things that it needs to be done. So he gives you wisdom, power, and you receive the goodness of God. If God has been good to you every day of your life, you ought to give God a praise right now. If God has really been good. Assuring ourselves of the extent of the providence to all the creatures and all their actions. And we must therefore trust in the Lord with all our heart. Now, again, Kim Daniels, sometimes that takes a little while to get there. It takes a little while to get there, Karen Lee. It takes a little while to get there to really turn everything over to God. And even when you're close to God, Jessica, is still a little hard. But because why? Because you just know how to do it all the time. You really wouldn't trust God. So every once in a while, God gives you situations that's a little harder than the situation you've been through, so you can totally depend on him on everything. But it's like this. If God is taking care of one problem, am I right? Two problems, right? Three problems. What makes you think that God ain't going to take care of the fourth problem in your life? Now, what God does, he works it out in a different manner, in a different way, by his power and by his might. So if you're going through anything today, you ought to give God a praise, because God allows you to know that you're going to have favor in your life, and he's going to work it out according to his will. We must believe that he is able to do what he will. wise to do what is best and good according to his promise to do what is best for us. When we acknowledge God and we put our trust in God, we got to be sure that we must, with an entire submission and self-faith, depend on him to perform all things for us. Does that mean that we don't do nothing? No. But we got to believe that if God said he's going to do it, then he's going to do it for us according, and we have to have that assurance that God is going to do it. Now, our church has a lot of retired folks in our church. We got some young retired, and we got some older retired. And every month, God always makes sure that your check comes in the mail. Am I right? And right now, for years, as long as I've lived, I heard them say there ain't going to be no Social Security, there ain't going to be that. I mean, I've been living for some time, they said it ain't going to be. But guess what? When God gives you favor, it doesn't matter what men say they're going to do. God always make a way out of no way. You got to give God a praise for the thing that he has given you in your life. And so it's by faith, because just because we receive stuff from God, we got to still have faith to believe that God is going to do just what he said that he's going to do. So we according to his promise, to do what is best for us. Now, people will do the best they can for you. They will. But they can't really do the best for you. God is the only one that can do the best for you.
That's right.
Because when man gets to the extremities, that's God's opportunity to step right in and to do just what he said he's going to do. So sometimes when you trust in God, sometimes you got to sit back and don't worry about tomorrow, because God said you can't take care of tomorrow. Anyway, you do well to make it through the day. Am I right? Because yesterday is always gone, but God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. When you trust God, again, you got to step back and let God have it, because God knows just what to do for you. Only thing you're going to do is drive yourself crazy trying to figure those situations out. Am I right? How many of you have driven yourself crazy over some situation? That means you went crazy, and at the end, it worked out, and all you had to do was be quiet and be still in the first place. And guess what? God will allow us to act crazy, because God knows we're trying to trust him. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That makes sense, don't it? So when we think about God, we have to submit to him when we trust in God and depend on to perform all things for us. Because if we could do it on our own, we would do it, wouldn't we?
Amen. Yeah.
But most of us that's done things on our own, we done what? We done messed it up so many times. Now, there were times when I told God I was trusting him, but I wasn't really trusting God. I ain't got to talk about it. Because I told God on one sense I was trusting him. Then I tried to do things my own way, act like God told me to do that. See, when you act like God told you to do something, it ain't going to work out.
That's right.
Now, when God tells you to do something, you say, well, how do you know when God tells you to do something? Because God will put it up on your conscience. God will put it up on your spirit, and you just have to do it. Now, I'm going to give you a simple thing. Have you ever just felt like you needed to pray for somebody? I mean, God just kept putting that person on your heart. And God expected you to pray for them, all right? That's how it is when God is talking to you, when you trust him, that God just put things up on your heart in order for you to know that you will make it through this life situation. How many of God have brought you through so many situations you can't even count when you learn to trust God each and every day more and more and more. So we have to have a confidence of God's wisdom, power, and goodness. And therefore, we must follow the providence and not force it. We can't force God to do something. You can't force him to do something. I remember when Edward was looking for a job, and I told Edward, I said, Edward, go out of town. I kept telling Edward, go out of town. Edward said, oh, I can't go out of town. Then when things worked out, Edward said, I should have went out of town, because I was trying to tell him, you can't force God to do nothing no more. Sometimes when you wait on God, you got to just relax. And sometimes relaxing when you need something, it's hard to do when you got all these other things in your mind. So when things are not going the way you want them to go, when you trust in God, all God is telling you is to relax. Relax and trust me, because when you trust God, you will find favor with God, and God will open up a door for you that no man can open and no man can shut. God will give you healing, a favor and healing when they say it is no healing. Am I right? God will provide for you in a favorable way that you would not even understand. How many can just see the favor of God in your life for trusting in God, and you can give God a praise for the favor that he has shown you? So by faith, the second thing is not only by faith, but it's by prayer. Faith and prayer goes together.
Yes.
And all that ways to acknowledge God. How do we acknowledge God? Through prayer. By talking to God.
Yes.
Now the thing about talking to God, you got to talk to God by yourself. We acknowledge God, you got to acknowledge God by yourself. When you want God to do something for you, you got to acknowledge God by you got to get in that secret closet and talk to God.
Yes, sir.
Now, because when you tell everybody else what you're going through, sometimes they may not understand it like you and God. Have you ever had a situation that you couldn't tell nobody else about it?
Yes.
But you went to God about it? And what you're doing, you went to God in prayer. Whether it was for your children, whether it was for you, whether it was for your job, well, no matter what the situation is, you went to God for yourself. You have to acknowledge God in all thy ways, right? So in all the ways you acknowledge God, you go in God to God in prayer. Now the good thing I like about God and praying to God, I can tell God any and everything. Stuff I can't tell you, I can tell God about it. All right? When I acknowledge God for God to do something, that means I need to be honest with God. Now, what I found out is you cannot be honest with man like you can be honest with God. There's some stuff you just can't tell nobody what you're going through, how you're feeling. Sometimes they be like, you ain't got no faith, you ain't trusting God. I am trusting God. It's just hard right now, but when I acknowledge God, I tell God the things I'm going through, and I tell God how I really feel. Acknowledging God is not just trying to tell God how good stuff is in your life. And sometimes it's about the good, and sometimes it's about the bad, sometimes about some stuff you did in life you don't want to tell nobody. Has anybody ever been that honest with God when you talk to God about everything? Now, when you're honest with God, then God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out blessing. Now, you understand the blessing that God gives you is just not about physical things, but it's about spiritual things in your life. So the second thing is to pray. The first thing is to have faith, to trust God, because if you don't have full faith in God, it's going to be hard to pray to God about that situation. If you don't believe that God can do it, and ain't no use praying about it, all right? If you don't believe that God can save your children, why pray to God about it? You got to have it all together, all right? If you don't believe that God can work it out on your job and have faith that God can do it, why pray about it? But if I believe that God can do the impossible, then I can talk to God about the impossible. If you ever talk to God about the impossible and God worked it out, and you can give God a praise, because why? He did something that nobody else could have done.
Yes, Lord.
So by prayer, we got to do it by prayer. We must not only in our judgment believe that there is an overruling hand of God ordering and disposing of us in all of our affairs. That God basically, sometimes when you ain't going where you want to, he just push you.
Yeah.
He just push you. He just push you. It's an overruling thing. You think that you got it, but it's an overruling hand.
Okay.
You don't understand why it's going this way. You want to do it another way, but remember, you didn't acknowledge God. You didn't ask God to do it, right? And so sometimes the doctors come in and say stuff you don't like, but you didn't talk to God about it. God didn't say that the doctor had to come and tell you what you like to hear. What God would say, if you don't like what you hear, then talk to me about it. Am I right? Now, to acknowledge God means that God has a ruling hand, and God pushes you the way that he wants you to go. He pushes you the way. If God ever pushed you in a way that you didn't want to go, I mean, I know we want to say every way we went. No, there was a way that God pushed you. You didn't understand it, but he pushed you that way. And at the end, you can give God praise. Am I right? You can give God, because he has an overruling hand. So when you think you're doing it your way, God is really doing it his way. And he allows you. He allows you to mess up along the way. Tell your neighbor, he allows you to mess up. Yeah, tell me he allows you to mess up. Yeah. Now, the reason I'm telling you that he allows you to mess up, because some of y'all think like, wow, I done messed up so much, how can I get back with God? God ain't never left you. Even in your mess up, God has brought you out. That's why you found favor with God, because if you look at your life where you should have been, you ain't there right now, and you can give God praise for where you are right now. Aren't you glad that God mighty long way. So you have to understand that we must ask his leave and not desire anything, but we are sure it is lawful. Everything that God tells us, we acknowledge God.
Yeah.
Now remember, we don't know all the laws in the Bible. We don't know all of them. But God does speak to us. That's the law. Whatever God tells you to do, Carmen, that's what you're supposed to do. You ain't supposed to do it no other way. Now, when we mess up, that's a good thing about God. It's a good thing about prayer, faith. When we mess up, we can go to God again in our secret closet.
Yes.
Because you can't tell nobody what you did.
Amen.
Like you can tell God about what you done.
Amen.
Now, the reason why Michelle Sandra is not hard to tell God about what you done, because he already knows
That's right.
what you done. Yeah. He just want to see if you'll be honest enough.
Right.
They come and talk to him about it as if you already know that he's an all-seeing God, he is an all-knowing God. So when you fell short of the glory of God, he could have snatched you, Rosie, right there, but he did not. Why didn't he snatch right there? Because he knew that by faith and prayer, you were going to come back to him and you were going to talk to him, and he knew that you were going to give him an opportunity to work it out on your behalf. How many glad that you allow God to work it out on your behalf, and you can give God praise for what he has done? We must ask his advice and beg his direction from him only when, not only when the case is difficult. Most of us acknowledge God when it's difficult. Most of us. If I can come in with bad news, ooh, I got to talk to God about it. Ooh, I have a problem with my job, ooh, I got to talk to God about it. Ooh, my children give me, ooh, I got to talk to God about it. Why not just talk to God? Because if I talk to God in the good,
Yeah.
I already got a relationship with him when the bad comes.
All right.
Right?
Right.
Now, when I got a relationship with God, in the bad and the good, I don't even really know that it's bad. Don't make no sense, do it? It don't make no sense. Don't make no sense. Don't make no sense. God, let it don't make no sense. Let God work it out for you. Because when I'm in relationship with God, I'm always acknowledging God. Because see, remember when Job, before he went through his trial, the Bible said that he went to God every day on behalf of his children. He offered up for his children. He offered up for everything, and the devil got mad at him.
Yeah.
And God said, well, go and do what you want to do in trial. Now, if Job had not been already in that relationship acknowledging God, Job would have lost his mind through that trial. Job says stuff like this, though you slay me, yet will I trust you. God, I'll wait on my appointed time. When his friend came and talked, because why? Because he was already acknowledging God every day. So when he was going through his trial and he didn't know what to say, the old folks said that they already set up their timber. Your prayers are already offered up to God. So every morning that you get up, whether it's good or bad, you ought to acknowledge God and have a prayer life with God. Give God thanks for the things that are good. Give God thanks for the things that you ought to have a prayer life with God. Every day you walk through life, you ought to just tell the Lord, thank you. And guess what? When your children are acting bad, they ain't as bad as they could be. Why? Because you know that you have put a prayer of covering over their life. So he says, to find favor, you have to trust in God, you have to have faith in God, and you have to have a prayer life with God.
Amen.
Prayer life with God and acknowledging God is when you acknowledge God, you pray. And I'm going to talk about some good stuff. God, I thank you. I acknowledge you, God, is you that has given me this house that I live in.
Amen.
God, I acknowledge you. It's you that has given me this job that I have, and I thank you. That's acknowledging God.
Yes.
Acknowledging God in other ways is not asking God for something, but giving God thanks every day for the things that He give you. God, I acknowledge you. I'm retired. I got a check that's coming in the mail. Lord, I got to acknowledge you, God, that when I go to work, Lord God, they don't want me to be there. They want to fire me. But God, you still allow me to go to work. Lord, I thank you when you acknowledge, God, about everything. God, my body is racking with pain, but God, I want to thank you, Lord God, because it could be worse than what it is right now. See, that means I'm trusting God when I acknowledge God. God, I'm going to school. I'm working with these kids. These kids are getting on my last nerve, Lord God, but I thank you, Lord God, that you give me the wisdom and knowledge and how to work with them. See, you got to learn how to acknowledge God, not just when things are going bad, but yet when things are going good in your life, and you can see the blessing of God in your life. How many of you got more than $2 in your pocket right now? You ought to give God a praise. How many of your children are all right? You ought to give God a praise. And what you're doing is you acknowledging God, that God, I know that you are in control. So not only do we must acknowledge him in direction and in the difficult times, we must ask success of him as those who know the race is not to the swift. You don't know when stuff is going to end. The race is not given to the swift nor the strong, but the one that will endure till the end. So when I acknowledge God, do I acknowledge God about this situation one day and then give up? No. While I'm going through this difficult time in my life, well, this good time in my life, I got to acknowledge God. I can't tell God when to allow it to end. I got to trust him that he knows how much I can handle, how much I can bear. I have to acknowledge God. So instead of telling God, God, I can't take it, I can't take it, I can't take it, God said, you can take as much as I can give you. When we say, God, sometimes my burdens are more than I can handle, but God, I'm going to trust you through it. See, you got to learn how, I always say, you got to learn how to talk. You got to learn how to talk to God. God, my finances all messed up, God, but God, I know, Lord God, that you're going to supply all of my needs according to your riches and glory. See, you got to know how to talk to God in a spiritual way to get God's favor in your life. Has anybody ever learned how to talk to God and how God works things out? And sometimes that's when we talk about the mercies of God. So sometimes you got to look back over your life and see what God has already done in your life and understand what he will do right now. Can I hear today? I praise God more about what he did on yesterday than what he's doing right now. Because when I look back over my life, I see God has really been good. And you see how good God has been to you. You ought to give God praise for the goodness that he's shown you in your life. We must refer ourselves to him from whom our judgment proceeds. When I trust God, I got to give. So all this is in prayer. So when I go to God, sometimes I talk to God a lot. You talk to God a lot. But every once in a while, I don't always ask God to forgive me of my sins every time I pray. I don't. Every time God forgive me of my sins. But there are times when I pray, it just pops in my spirit. And I say, Lord, forgive me of my sin. And sometimes you can say stuff over and over and over again and don't mean nothing. You just say stuff. Now, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about me. And when I ask God to forgive me of my sin, I'm in line with God. God is ready to do something for me. Or God is reminding me of the stuff that he has brought me through. And I ask God to forgive me. And what happens is I begin to find favor with God in my life. Sometimes we walk around in our life and we can't forgive ourselves, but God has already forgiven us. You understand, some of the stuff you did on yesterday is already gone. God has already forgiven you, even when you didn't ask him for forgiveness. But yet, every once in a while, he reminds you of the things that he's done in your life, and then you find yourself saying, Lord, forgive me for whatever that was that I done. Now, when I said whatever that was I did, I know what I said to God. Again, I'm not going to tell you. You ought to know when you acknowledge God, what you're talking to God about, when you ask God to forgive you of your sins, and you ought to know that you got to trust him that your sins are forgiven. Now, I'm going to ask you this. How many know that all your sins are already forgiven? You ought to give God a praise. That means you can walk in victory. You can walk in a way in the favor of God. Because guess what? When I got a clean state before God, I'm open up to the blessing and the favor that God has coming my way. Now, I ain't telling you not to go and not to ask God for forgiveness in your prayers. I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you about me. Because when you have a relationship with God, God knows everything about you. So we must refer ourselves. And so he said, in all thy ways, he will direct and fair and pleasant. We must acknowledge God with thankfulness. So when we acknowledge God will direct us. Fair and pleasant. Yeah. That means when I'm going through a storm, it's really not a storm. Because it's fair and pleasant. Pastor, you don't make no sense. You don't know, Pastor. I'll be going crazy with the stuff that I'm going through. How many of you be going crazy with the stuff you're going through? I got one over there. I got two over there. I got 3, 4, 5. But God said it can be fair and pleasant. I'll tell you how fair and pleasant was. The other day, the ice was falling. And Carolyn was having surgery Friday. And Carolyn told me Thursday, she said, I don't want you to come. It's going to be bad. Me and my husband, we're going to go and we're going to stay in the hotel across the street. I called Carolyn that morning to pray for her. She didn't answer the phone. Didn't bother me. I went outside and I stepped on my driveway. And it wasn't really that slick. I got in my car about 8:30. I drove up to the hospital. They told Carolyn, you got another person to visit. They said, who would come out here? They said, your pastor. She said, my pastor. The first thing Carolyn said was, you're hard-headed. I'm not hard-headed. It was a storm, but it was pleasant to me because God gave me. I ain't come up with nobody else. When you're trusting in God, God will make a way. And it put a smile on her face to see me. And I told her, girl, I couldn't let you go to surgery without you praying. You got to understand, through a storm, it can be pleasant in your life. How many had some storm in your life? And you can see how pleasant it was. And you can give God a praise. Come on, give God a praise. For every storm he brought you through, and it was pleasant in your life. But I had enough sense to go back home. See, God, even when stuff ain't going the way you want it to go, when you acknowledge the Lord all that way, He's going to direct your path. He's going to take you through the trials. And David said, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. He said, I will fear no evil. Why? He said, because, Lord, you are with me. Now, God don't always take you around your storms. Sometimes God takes you through it, but you got to understand that like the footprints is when I only saw one set of footprints, God, when I look back, I understand you were carrying me. When God is directing your path, He will tell you what to do. He'll make it real pleasant. When Job got that answer from God, God wasn't in the whirlwind. God wasn't storm. It said that God came in a peaceful way and He began to talk to Job. Can I help you today? Whatever you're going through right now, if you step back and trust God, find favor with God, God will direct your path and God will see you through. I see you do it. Give God a praise. Don't do it. Give God a praise. See, you don't understand when God is working in your life, God does some strange things for you. How many of God has done some strange stuff in your life and you can give God praise for the strange stuff that He's done? You know it was nobody but God. So favor, again, is an act of kindness beyond what is due or usual. So when everybody else was losing their mind, I'm all right. Now, when you lose your mind, everybody's all right. You just lose your mind for no reason at all. I see Sister Brother. You ain't got to lose your mind. When stuff is out of control, what God is trying to tell you is to get out of the way. Let me handle it. And when God handles it, it may seem like you're being walked on, but you're not really walked on because God is lifting you up to a higher standard. Why? Because you have talked to God. You have prayed to God about it. And God will see you through. Because you got faith in God to believe that He will do the impossible. Don't you know what's wrong with our children today? Our children ain't got no faith in God, and they don't know how to pray. And you trying to give them your faith. You can't give your children your faith. You got to teach your children to believe God. Let them go through the hard knocks that you went through in order for them to stand. Your money can't get nobody out of trouble. Trust me. No matter how much money I get, it's always gone. But that's not a bad thing. I thank God I had it for it to be gone. Can anybody thank God that you had it even though it's gone? And God made everything straight for you in every way that's made. So we must acknowledge God. He make it fair. We must acknowledge Him. We must make God with submission. We got to submit to His will. Our eye must be ever toward God. To Him, we must in everything make our requests known. So when I acknowledge God, I got to make my requests known to God. So He says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Again, your heart is the inner self of the feels and the side. It's an essential part of you. God understands that your heart has to move out of the way in order for His heart to take full control. He understands that. I always tell Carmen when I see Carmen walk in, because Carmen been here for 18, almost 19 years. And I tell Carmen, girl, I'm an old pastor girl, because I've seen you come a long way. Carmen be looking at me. What I've seen is the trials and the tribulation that God has brought us through. And every time I see her, she stands as a young woman. You got to understand that you can't give up on somebody when they're not doing what you think they should do. Because God is going to honor their path. If anybody, God has taken your path from a terrible pathway to a good pathway, and you can give God praise. And if God does that for you, you know that He can do it for somebody else. We have to teach our young people, our children, how to acknowledge God, so God can direct their path.
Amen.
You haven't gotten here all by yourself. Yeah, you can tell somebody testimony what you did and how God brought you through.
Yeah.
But we ain't always been so good when God brought us through.
Amen.
Now, I know I have. I know. I haven't seen stuff like this. I ain't got to talk to everybody. I talk to God, my mother. I ain't got to tell you that I've always been good and God did this and God did that. No. In my worst time, God was always right there.
Amen.
Because in my worst time, I knew how to talk to God.
Yes.
And what happened is, the more God began to do stuff for me, I didn't want to disappoint God no more. I didn't want to keep making those mistakes over and over and over again. So then I was like, acknowledge God. God, help me. Keep me from doing this. God, help me. Keep me from doing that. And every once in a while, I went back, but you got to acknowledge God in all that way. And to start with a faith to believe that God can do it in a prayer life that is continue with God for you to find favor with God.
Yeah.
So God give us divine promise. The divine promise again is that He shall direct thy path. Tell your neighbor, I got the divine promise. Tell me, I got the divine promise. The divine promise is He shall direct thy path. Tell your neighbor, He's directing my path. Tell me, He's ordering my footsteps. And you can give God praise for what God is doing right now in your life. Now, you got to understand that this may not make no sense right now, but you're going to go through something. You're going to be faced with something that you're going to have to trust God. You say, well, Pastor, are you bringing me to something? I mean, no. Life just happened. We don't understand the life. But in life, God will give you favor. When they get ready to lay somebody off, and you still got a job, you ought to give God a praise. When somebody said that they're trying to get rid of you on your job and you're still there, you ought to give God a praise. Why? That means you have found divine favor with God. He shall direct our path. That means when your enemies all around you, they will stumble and they will fall. Why? Because God will just move you out of
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord.
favor. God will give them, He'll give you that wisdom, which is profitable to direct you, so that you shall not turn aside into the bypath of sin. The bypath of sin is not listening to God. Not drinking, it's not drugging, it's not all that. Yeah, that's sin that messes up your life. But not listening to God is the greatest sin that you can ever do.
Yeah.
And then Himself, He will wisely order the event to your mind. God will tell you how to do it.
Thank you, Lord.
He'll tell you how to do it. He'll tell you how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like when you acknowledge God, He'll tell you how to do it. And sometimes, Karen, it's simple. Sometimes, Michelle, it's simple. We look for God to tell us something hard. It's simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
When the children of Israel were ready to go across the Red Sea, He just said, be still
Right.
and know that I'm God.
Yes. Yes.
He didn't move the Red Sea. They had to go across it.
Yeah.
But He did something. He allowed a pillar of light to be in front of one and to be behind them. He kept their enemies away from them.
Thank you, Jesus.
He directed their path. He said, Moses, would you have just stick out your rod in the water? Quiet. Moses said something like God, God, you don't allow me to bring these people out here. And God, we're out here, and the people will say that you couldn't deliver them.
Yes.
You couldn't bring them through. God just said, be still. Moses, you have got to your extremity. You don't brought them to the path I want you. You don't brought them to the Red Sea. He said, be still. And while they were being still, God was working.
Hallelujah.
While you're being still, God is. working. And what was God was doing? They couldn't see what God was doing because the cloud was behind the pillar, light was in front of them, and God was just going through the part of the Red Sea. And when it was going to the Red Sea, and then at the time when it was going, they said, go where? He said, we're going into the Red Sea. What do you mean? And when they stepped on the ground, they didn't know, they thought the ground was going to be wet. They thought fishes and sharks were going to be there. But when they got there, the water was on both sides, and the ground they walked on was dry. Can I help you? When you acknowledge God, He will direct our path. And they didn't take their eyes off of God. They didn't get scared. Because they went through the Red Sea, they went through marching. And while they were going through, they began to shout and give God praise for the victory that they got in life. Can I help you today? When you trust God, when you acknowledge God, you can give God praise for the victory He has in your life. Is there anybody here that want to give God a praise? Is there anybody here can see the Red Sea that God has brought you through? Is there anybody here can see that God has brought you through every trial? And if you can see that, I want you to give God a praise for every time you acknowledge Him and God has direct thy path for the Lord. He's worthy of the praise.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
And they got on the other side of the sea.
Yes.
And the enemy thought they could go and take the same pathway. But the enemy didn't acknowledge God. The enemy didn't talk to God. The enemy said, if they can do it, I can do it. The enemy can't do what you do.
All right.
When God has given you favor, the enemy can't follow your path. When God has given you favor, when God has delivered you, the enemy has no hand on you. Because why? Because you trusted the Lord with all thy heart and you leaning out to your own understanding. God got a promise for you. If you trust Him, if you have faith, and if you pray, He'll give you a divine promise.
Yes, He will. Thank you, Lord.
He'll direct the path. If the children of Israel could see, He's the same God. Yesterday, today, and forevermore. So why would you think that God has brought you to this point in your life? That you don't need to talk to Him, that you don't need to acknowledge Him. Because God is a great God.
Yes.
He can do anything but fail. I'm going to give you a moment. Give you a moment to think about how many times you acknowledge God. I don't care how many times you slip and fall and do that time. You look at your life. Look at where you're at right now. And you alone can preach your own story. You alone can give your God the praise. Why? Because when you look at every time you acknowledge God, He is something that no one else could have done. For Psalm 118, 8-9 said, it is better to trust in the Lord than to put your confidence in man. It's better to trust in the Lord than put your confidence in princes. Micah 7:5 says, do not trust in a friend. Do not put your confidence in a companion. Say, guard the doors of your mouth from her who lies in your bosom. Nahum 1:7 says, the Lord is good. Say, the Lord is good. Say, the Lord is good. A stronghold in the day of trouble. Say, a stronghold in the day of trouble. And He knows those who trust in Him. God knows that you trust Him. God knows you have faith in Him. God knows that anytime you acknowledge Him, He knows your heart. And in the time of trouble, you ain't got to put your friend in no man, you ain't put your trust in nobody but God. And if you know that you put your trust in God, I want you to give God a hallelujah praise. I want you to give God a hallelujah praise. I want you to give God a hallelujah praise. I want you to give God, come on, open your mouth, give God a praise. Come on, shout to God. Give glory to God. Give praise to God. For the Lord, He's worthy. favorite church. I want you to be the most favorite people by God. That when you go to Ford, they'll see that your favorite, Carmen. Yeah, they just see that your favorite. But Teresa, when you go to Yellow Freight, they'll see that your favorite. They'll see the favor of God. And when they see the favor of God, they won't mess with you. They'll get out of the way. Why? Because they're hands of the Lord. It's only favor that shall satisfy. Favor kills them. Favor upon your life. But you just don't get favor. You got to do something to show God you want favor. So as we come to the altar this morning, it says by faith, by prayer. It's a lot of other things. We go back to verses 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Faith. 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 Robert, I've been praying for Dewan and Deshaun for the last 2 days. The last 2 days, they've just been in my heart and in my spirit. And I'm so glad to see you because I want to tell you. And I believe that God is going to bless their lives. They've been talking to God on their behalf. They grew up in this church. They know the Lord. God will bring them back to this place. There are things that they're going through that you ain't shared with nobody. And you know what they're going through. And he told your mom, he ain't told nobody. But you've been talking to God about it, right? God has heard your prayer. You can talk to him. And God put them before me just like me right here. I can't get away from the prayer. But I'm connected with you. That God gonna do it. And God will touch their life. Girl had surgery this week, Summers. As you just keep her in your prayers. Because of the weather, I don't know the outcome of what was going on, but I know it's well. Pray for Brandon. He's home. Brandon's home. He's in the hospital this week. New week, Pam, and all these people. Favor. Favor. I can't get away from it. My mama has preached favor to me. Every time I talk to her, she explains to me what favor is like I ain't never preached it. One day my mama told me something about favor. I said, oh, but then I thought about it. Well, she's right. Favor. David said, I once was young, but now I'm old. What did he say? Never seen the righteous forsaken, nor a seed begging for bread. That's favor. That's favor. There's people went through the same stuff you went through, but you're still standing. We don't know what tomorrow holds, but you're still standing. That's favor. And I want you to give God a praise because you're still standing. Think about John and Kim when he first came to this church. Kim went back and got, how many degrees did you got since you been in? Kim? How many degrees did you get since you been in? I'd say ask you 3 or 4 degrees, amen. John got that's faith, that's faith. But you need to trust God. God will open up the windows. He opened up the windows just out of our tithing. It's favor. Favor is your life, favor is your family. It's farmer rest. You retire. Rest. When I mean rest, you ain't got nothing to worry about no more. Karen Hudson, mom, Justin, from you ain't got nothing to worry about no more. That's the rest he wants you to have. Because he did not bring you to a retirement for you to worry about tomorrow, but he took care of you, every year. All of it. Favor. Say, Lord, I thank you for my favor. Say, Lord, I thank you for my favor. Say, Lord, for the favor you've given me in my life. Come on, give God a praise. Give God a praise. Give God a praise. So today we're going to pray for faith and prayer to increase your faith for you to have a better prayer life. Father, we come in your Son Jesus' name. Say thank you for these souls. For these your people that have come to hear a word from you. And God, you started us out at the first Sunday of the year. Talk about faith. Because God, you just don't want us to be blessed. You just don't want us to have grace. God, you want us to be a candle on the top of a hill. A light that shines to show the world what favor looks like. God, you have already put us in places. You have already put us in positions. The Lord God, that we know was nobody but God, you have favored us so much through our life, oh God, when we look back over our life. We can't even begin to count the blessings of all the things that you have done. Well, God, if we had not acknowledged you, if we had not put our trust in you, God, we wouldn't be where we are right now. We wouldn't have the comfort of life that we have right now. Even though, Lord God, we have some good days, even though we have some bad days, Lord, our good days outweigh our bad. And God, through every door that was closed in our faith, God, you always open up another door. And God, in that difficult moment in time when the doctor said one thing, we went in prayer. And God, you changed course in our life. God, when we found ourselves in trouble, when we should have been locked up in jail, but God, you changed course, and you gave us favor. So much favor, Lord God, men could not understand how it was done that way. But God, you gave us a promise that you will and you should direct our path. So God, a lot of things have been said today. But God, I pray for each person in this altar that their faith and their trust may increase in you. That, Lord God, that they learn to acknowledge you every day of their life. Not just for when things are going bad, but for the good things, Lord. And Lord God, teach us not to complain, but to be thankful. And God, as you allow your glory, your power, your might, your wisdom, and your knowledge to take control of our life, Lord, we will walk in a way, Lord God, that is pleasing unto you. So God, you are a healer. God, you are a deliverer. God, you are a way maker. God, you are a company keeper. God, you are mind regulator. God, you makes way out of no way. So God, that you're God of favor. So everything we name and everything we don't name, everything that we really don't know, you can give us favor. So God, bless our home. Bless our family. Bless our job. Bless our work. When the enemy comes on us like a flood, God, allow them to stumble and fail. Because God, you put favor God, we touch and agree with the one and the shoulder.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
Put a hedge of protection on him.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
Pray for Brandon today.
Yes, Lord.
Allow healing to take place in his body.
Yes. Yes, Lord.
We pray for every person at this altar.
Yes, Lord. Yes.
Those that have not even said anything. Bless them with divine favor. In the name of the Father, name of the Son, name of the Holy Ghost. And the people of God said, amen. Come on, give God a hand praise. Give God a hand praise. For the favor that He showed us. In Jesus' name. Need a tithe and envelope, we ask that